Dunleavy for that gold medal. The gold medal final as the riders prepare to make their appearance up on track. Laura Fahy partnered by Corinne Hall and Katie George Dunleavy with Eve McChrystal. Her pilot, the two moved in together indeed, didn't they, during COVID. George Dunleavy moved across to spend as much time as possible. Very difficult for these tandem pairings. Well, the British squad, of course, are very, very well funded and well supported. They're based in Manchester, have access to a velodrome. Not quite the same opportunities for the Irish pairing. They're supported by the Team Ireland lineup, Cycling Ireland, supporting that squad as best they can, but the lack of a velodrome certainly not helping or aiding their efforts. Nonetheless, that's not what they're thinking about right now, as they complete their final preparations. Clipping in with that traditional ski binding. Remind you, it is a fixed gear bicycle, no brakes, no freewheeling. 2 chains, of course, 2 riders. The final moments. This is what the last 5 years have been all about. Time to get those butterflies flying in formation. Well, less than half a second between them through qualifying. And this is set to be a tight one. Laura Fahy getting it away well, as indeed did Katie George Dunleavy. But what's it going to be through the first split? Well, traditionally, Katie George Dunleavy, probably not the fastest of getaways, tends to be better in the middle segment of this, and through the first lap it's the British pairing that have the advantage. Indeed, it's a very, very large margin, already almost a second up, and that's a bit of a surprise. Laura Fahy charging out of the gate. Katie George Dunleavy and Eve McChrystal up front with a little bit of work to do here. Well, they're starting to pair it back, but it's still holding steady. They've settled into their effort and matching the British pairing, and that's another lap, what, a couple of hundredths gained. But the British still with an advantage, approaching a second, and that's a lifetime given that they were separated by only about a half a second after qualifying. Coming towards the Irish pairing at the moment, another marginal gain. But still, it is a significant advantage for Laura Fahy in a game of fractions. Another 1/10 of a second gain, and this is nice solid stuff being done by Katie George Dunleavy and Eve McChrystal. Through the first kilometre, little to choose between the pairing apart from that first lap, and since then it's been the Irish that have been continuing to gain, and another chunk has been taken off the lead of Laura Fahy. Reigning champions, I'll remind you. 4th in London as well. Katie George Dunleavy and Eve McChrystal 5th in Rio 5 years ago. Double medalists, including that gold on the road in Rio, but they'd really like to improve upon their guaranteed silver medal here. And another gain, down to less than half a second between them. The Irish pairing are coming with a charge here. And another gain indeed of a 1/10 of a second, down to within 3/10 of a second. And this has been a very impressive middle kilometre by Katie George Dunleavy and Eve McChrystal. Continuing to gain on their British rivals. Down to just 2/10 of a second, and they're coming with a charge as they go into that difficult final kilometre. What's left for these riders as the British start to respond? Have they saved a little bit for these final 4 laps? And the margin has gone out ever so slightly, but still sits at a tenuous 3/10 of a second advantage for Laura Fahy. Corinne Hall on the front, they put their head down, going potentially for glory. Katie George Dunleavy hoping to try and save something for the back end, but it's starting to drift away from them a little bit as we're down to the final few laps. Another gain made by Laura Fahy up to almost a second. And as they get the bell, surely that's going to be enough. It's drifted up over a second now. And I think Katie George Dunleavy and Eve McChrystal are going to have to be satisfied with a nonetheless very impressive silver medal. Gold medal surely heading the way of Laura Fahy. We've got a world record to celebrate. And the gong sounds to complete that pursuit, and it's silver medal for Katie George Dunleavy and Eva McChrystal. Laura Faki has matched the performance of her husband, who took world record and a gold medal just a little while ago. And there's the one moment of a medal ceremony as Katie George Dunleavy fights to get her breath back after that huge effort. Well, just a little bit too much recovery required after that first lap.
Katie George Dunleavy.
It's a third Paralympic medal for this pairing. They've been together since London in 2012, and now they can celebrate for the first time the medal on the velodrome. Wonderful silver medal success, matching the achievement of Catherine Walsh and Fran Meehan in this event in London in 2012. This COVID-inspired ceremony. I really like it, actually, the way they present each other with the medals. They're starting to get used to it. They've still got some business on the road to come next week, but this one, I think, was the one they really, really wanted. And that will have set the nerves ahead of any roll battles to come. Congratulations indeed to all the medal winners. Sophie Unwin and Jenny Hall getting the bronze medal, with silver to Ireland's Katie George Dunleavy and Eva McChrystal.
It's quite emotional actually, and we put quite a lot, so much into this. You know, hard work does pay off, but yeah, I can't believe the time we got. I can't believe we broke the world record. You know, we knew we could do a good ride, and we were hoping to, get PB, but to get that world record for those 5 minutes, and to get the medal ride for the gold, it's just unbelievable.
We surpassed everything we thought we could do here. So our aim wasn't 3:19, so it was just such a shock. I still can't believe that we did it, but I'm just so proud of Katie. I know she's so proud of me, and I'm delighted that we could do that together here, and the silver medal just means the world to us.
Well, you can really see just how delighted they are. They said they're so proud. This is Ireland's only third ever medal in the Paralympic velodrome, and of course Catherine Walsh, one of those medals went to you back in London 2012 in this exact event. How impressed were you by that cycle?
Oh, super impressed with that cycle. I was hoping after the girls had finished the kilometre that they would just forget about velodrome, no velodrome, forget about what other equipment people had, and just thought about the process of their race, because they have been working so hard and they got it out there, and the times the girls were out were unbelievable, and backed it up really well. And it just goes to show when you have a really good pairing and an understanding and a respect for each other. You know, those last couple of laps are so hard, and where you might give up on yourself, you won't give up on the other person. I'm actually really emotional for it. So I'm delighted for them.
Yeah, and you know them so well. And Mark, to you, to knock 7 seconds off a personal best, that's huge by any standard.
Yeah, and to do it, Walsh was telling me earlier, usually you go faster in the evening session than in the morning session. So they rode the fastest time in the morning session to 3:19.9. And to take into consideration, they had to go around a Polish bike, around a bend as well. So that would have even given them a small little edge, but I think the Brits probably would have taken the world record in their ride. But to see the two girls talk about how much they've poured themselves into it, just to give you an idea, in July, the guys travelled to Estoril in Portugal to compete at the World Championships. Then they travelled to Eindhoven to do some wind tunnel testing. Then they travelled back to Ireland. Then travelled to Mallorca to get some track time. And then back to Ireland. And then out to Portugal to get some track time. And then from Portugal to the holding camp. And now to the Paralympic final. So those last 2-3 months, and to have to train and stick to a rigorous training program to peak in time for these games. It's a phenomenal achievement, phenomenal reflection on the preparation and the commitment those guys give and the team give to be able to deliver a world record time. I know they held it for 10 minutes, but they'll always have that. They've held the world record for a certain amount of time. And to get a silver medal in an event that they finished 5th in Rio, it'll give everybody relief, it'll relax the team, because the cycling team is based 200 kilometres away from the village. So they're in their own little bubble. I know that the swimmers and everybody else are kind of bouncing off each other, but the guys are away, and to have a medal in that bubble, it'll just calm everybody's nerves, I think.
Yeah, it's worth reminding ourselves of that. They are in that bubble. They're up near Mount Fuji. Is that going to impact them at all, not being part of the team?
I would say they're probably coping with it as if it's like a world, like a really tough schedule for world championships. So normally the track championships would be separate from the road, and all the cycling teams are based there. So they will be moving from one night to the other. But yeah, it won't, especially for the people whose first games it is, it won't feel like a true Paralympic games experience.
Now, their coach, Neil Delahaye, he was mentioned, you know, he put so much behind this tandem pair and it really paid off, didn't it?
Yeah, and I was lucky enough to join them in a camp in Estoril when they were qualifying, or they were practicing for this, because Estoril is a racetrack, and then the road and the time trial here is going to be in Fuji Racecourse, so they were really prepping for that. And to see Neil would be up first thing in the morning, he would be checking everybody's hydration through P's. He would then prep the day's training, even the logistics of a running order of a day's racing. Who's on, what time, where their warm-up schedule is, how do we get them there, get them back. And it's not just a coach, it's a logistical manager, it's all the roles that they do, you know, and if you compare us to GB, they would have 2 or 3 times more staff than the Irish setup. So to be mixing it with these guys, it's phenomenal. It really is a phenomenal result.
Well, we can hear from Neil Delahaye now, see what he had to say.
Neil, congratulations. Another wonderful morning for Irish cycling, for Irish track cycling, with silver here at the Paralympic Games.
Absolutely, yeah. It was a real nice way to finish the track campaign, I suppose. The sprinters did an unbelievable PB, really knocked it out on the day, delighted for them. And then obviously the medal with Kate and Eve was phenomenal. And even to have broken the world record in qualifying, even if it was only held for 3 minutes, but still it just shows how deep they went, and I'm very happy that they got it all out in the day.
The phenomenal effort to get them here to this stage, to compete at this level and compete for a gold medal.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a very intensive process for a while now, and they've showed their physical capacity with the World Championships they've won on the road. The track is always a different beast. We saw all week, you know, with Rhett Rochelle and Ronan and everyone hitting PBs, and obviously they're in good form. So to convert that, I suppose, into a podium is always very satisfying, and certainly they deserve it for the level of commitment they've shown over the last number of months and the last number of years. It's been brilliant.
Especially though in the last 18 months, as we have all come through a pandemic. The age-old argument is that we have no velodrome in Ireland. Was that the difference between gold and silver today?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's impactful for sure. I mean, we will train intensively in blocks at the track, which works. You know, obviously you can see guys are going well, but it's a different thing if you had the opportunity to train regularly at intervals over the course of the full year. And even for the future of the sport in terms of the development and getting kids on bikes, and the environment of the track is perfect for that. And I think it will just enable us a whole other level of high performance as well as participation that we feed into it. So you can see what they've done. We have the same gene pool, we have the same level of quality athlete, we have the coaching know-how, we have the passion for it. If we have the location, if we have the environment, I think that could be a huge game changer, and I can see many more medals in the future.
How quickly do we need it?
ASAP. Simple as that. With Paris in 3 years. Can we get a belt built in 6 months? I don't know, but really as soon as it's done, we'll be making most of it straight away. So, you know, it's already kind of something that maybe should have been there before, in my opinion. And the sooner we can get that as a structure up, I think the better for everyone.
Has this been the best set of track results from an Irish team?
Yeah, I mean, every national record fell, so for sure in terms of the outright speed, they all delivered on that. I think we have had, London was very successful on the track. We got a medal in Rio as well. I think London might have had an extra medal compared to this one, but in terms of the outright speeds, the world is moving on, the high performance environment continues to get refined, the equipment makes a difference, and we've kept up with that very well for this campaign. And yeah, very happy that we went as fast as we could over the last 4 days.
Here in Izu, we've seen numerous Paralympic records broken, world records broken, through both the Paralympic and the Olympic Games. Why is that?
Well, the conditions are good for sure, and we're at a little bit of altitude. It's about 500 or 600 meters. That feeds into the air density, so that makes things a little bit zippier. It's an evolving sport. All the records are starting to tumble quite quickly over the last sort of 12, 18 months. I think we, like I said, have kept up with that. The heat it's not super hot in here, but it's really the air density that has made the difference, along with the equipment changes and the technological delivery of what the riders are doing. And you can see the nations that are capitalising are the ones that have the experience. They have good systems in place through Olympic and Paralympic, as we do, and we're equally supported. And they're the nations, I think, that are chipping away each time when they're racing just at those world records.
It's now time to park it, to head to the road. Ireland's preferred venue is the road. We've all cycled the roads of Ireland, and with that comes now a little bit of more expectation.
Maybe, but again, it's just about delivering your best on the day, and we're very happy with where they are in terms of their condition, their form. We've worked really hard to get ready for the hot and humid conditions here, so I believe they're ready for that as well. They're challenging courses, you know, there's not a flat road in either course, so it's going to be not your traditional flat TT, it's very much up and down. It's going to be excess 400 metres of climbing, which is a lot. The road race is going to be long, hot, hilly, but we're ready for that challenge. They're all up for it for sure.
Katie George and Eve certainly have a pep in their step now, though.
I think so. That'll give them confidence of just knowing, yeah, we've done all the work. We're where we want to be. They just have to try and recover quickly now, because the turnaround is quite soon. Already they're going to be racing in kind of 2 days, so that's a big challenge. But we've done enough work with the help of the support team, with Sport Ireland and the Institute, just to get our strategies around that in place, and I believe they'll be ready.
And in a way it could be a revenge mission.
Could be, yeah. I definitely think they are going to be gunning for the podium again, there's no doubt about that.
All the best of luck.
Thanks a million.
Wow, very interesting stuff there, Mark. And I found it fascinating that you mentioned equipment so much. And you know, the tandem is a bike we don't see in the Olympics. Can you talk to us a little bit about the tandem bike and just how high tech it is?
Well, speaking to Neil before, I think the general consensus, the tandem kind of is a law unto its own. If you get a single bike, you know that you buy a new bike, it's going to run well. But with a tandem, it can be. And of course, Walsh is the expert on this, but sometimes you think it's going to go fast, it doesn't, you know. So to get a good bike is vital. Like even looking at the times today between the Brits and ourselves, the speed. So the Brits did 54.14, and we did 54.01 kilometers per hour. You know, a bit of kineso tape, a faster wheel can make all the difference. Catherine, what do you think?
Yeah, it's all the equipment, and I suppose the tandems, there probably isn't as much research and development done in them because they're such a specialised piece of equipment, and that can actually sometimes be a barrier for people even getting started in the sport, because even a basic one is quite expensive. But at this level, those, you know, you're trying to match weight, minimise the weight of the bike, but then you need it strong enough to hold the weight of the two people, and then it's the wheels, it's the bars, it's, you know, it's the shape of the tandem. You can see there was different shapes, so you know it is.
Even the helmets, Catherine.
Yeah.
If you could see, you know, people would look at Katie's helmet and say, "Oh, she's not wearing her visor." You know, but the work that they've done with Owen Clifford and Paul Mannion and NUIG in collaboration with the TUE University in Eindhoven, so they've tested lots of helmets. They've tested lots of skin suits, lots of positions, and that's the most aerodynamic setup they've had. So they're very lucky to be able to call on those resources.
And I think it's brilliant that they're doing their own kind of research, because what we would have done was kind of looked at what the others were doing and then tried to copy that. Whereas now we're actually like, with Owen's experience of paracycling, having medalled in Rio himself on the track, it's great that we're doing our own research, and you can feel confident in that. So it's really it's the same with the Olympics. Everything's to be tested.
Yeah, well, we're going to talk a lot more about that over the next few days, especially as we hit the road. But we're going to see how the male tandem pairing of Martin Gordon and Eamon Byrne went in the B Kilo time trial earlier today.